Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one is actually a follower submission, and it goes like this. Am I the astronaut for telling my friend she smells terrible and embarrassing her? To preface this story, I know I'm the asshole, but I feel like I'm a justified asshole. I've been friends with Kinley, 28 female, for years now. Recently, I've noticed a change in her. She's gained a lot of weight pretty quickly, and her eating habits are pretty bad. We'll go to dinner and have a 3-course meal, and an hour later she wants to hit up a fast food drive-thru for a whole other meal. I don't care about her size. I'm a bigger girl myself. I care mainly about the sudden change in her appetite. On top of this, her hygiene has plummeted. I can tell because her clothes are always dirty, hair is oily, and honestly, she just stinks. Bad. She smells of BO, and as mean as this sounds, she carries an odor that you can smell a mile away. Clearly, she's going through something mentally, and it's not okay. She's never been the cleanest person, but it's never been this level of gross. I decided to pay her a home visit to check in on her and have a one-on-one talk away from the friend group to see if there's anything I can do to help her. When I arrived, her house was disgusting. There was trash and clothes everywhere, and she had apparently gotten a puppy, and there were pee spots and piles of poop everywhere. I tried not to judge and just asked her straight up what's going on. She said she's depressed and just doesn't have the energy to tidy up. My heart hurt for her, so I decided to spend the weekend cleaning her entire house, including doing all of her laundry and renting a shampooer to get the pee stains out of the carpet. I thought a clean house could take a load off her plate and help her get back into the groove of things. I also paid her rent for the month as she called into work so much that she was short. I told her I didn't mind doing these things, but the only thing I asked from her is to find a therapist and start counseling. She agreed and everything seemed to be good. I called and texted her every day to check on her, and she told me she had an appointment to start therapy and she was excited to get herself together. Well, a couple of weeks later, our mutual friend had a birthday dinner and she showed up in dirty clothes and smelled awful. Everyone was talking about her behind her back and felt bad for her. After the dinner, I pulled her to the side and asked her how therapy is going, and she told me she didn't feel comfortable with the therapist because he was male. I asked if she switched therapists then, and she said no, she just hadn't gotten to it yet. She goes on to tell me she never even went to the first appointment. This annoyed me, since I did so much to help her, and she won't do anything to help herself. So I decided to be blunt but empathetic at the same time. I told her point blank, you need to get help. I told her she smells bad and she looks bad, and I know she's not happy living her life like this. She actually agreed and started crying. I comforted her and volunteered to personally drive her to her next appointment, so that's what I did. Every week for almost 3 months, I drove her to her appointments. Fast forward, I had a work party and couldn't take her to therapy, but she assured me that she would go. She drives and has a car, and she's more than capable of doing it herself. I was just there for support. After going by herself to her appointment, she tells me that she's fine going by herself and thanked me for everything. Several weeks later, our friend group has another dinner and she shows up smelling awful again. This time it was breathtaking, and believe me, not in a good way. People were gagging, and other people outside our party were looking at us clearly disgusted. She's the only one who actually ate because everyone else had lost their appetite. After the dinner, we were all going to hit up a local club and have some drinks. No one wanted Kinley to go, but she overheard some of the girls talking and asked if she could just leave her car and ride with me. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to say screw anyone giving you a dirty look or has something negative to say about my friend, but even if I didn't care about those things, I didn't want to be trapped in a car with her smelling that strongly. I also didn't want my car to smell like her at all. I pull her to the side and tell her maybe she should get cleaned up first and then meet us out. She asks what I mean, so I decide to be blunt once more and tell her she has a bad smell right now. She immediately starts yelling and cussing me out. She said that I'm a bitch and she's tired of me talking to her like that, and I'm the only one who thinks that she stinks. This makes me mad because I've done so much to help her, and yet she calls me out of my name. Everyone else just gossiped about her behind her back, and I'm the only one who actually said anything to her face. So I turned around and asked the group, who was now staring at us since she started yelling, and asked who all thinks Kinley stinks. Everyone agreed she stunk. Kinley ends up muttering something under her breath before storming away and leaving. The next day, I woke up to find text from Kinley and a few mutual friends. Kinley is telling me I'm an asshole and I embarrassed her. She said I had no right to treat her that way, and if I want to ever be friends again, then I need to apologize. A couple mutual friends agree, but for the most part, everyone is on my side. The two friends who are on Kinley's side always talked about her too, so I'm not really sure why they're mad on her behalf. They're not, they're just cowards. I don't feel like I should apologize, and I'm not sure I want to continue our friendship. I put a lot of effort into our friendship, but she never even asks how I'm doing. Maybe I'm just still mad and can't think clearly, but I think I'm completely justified. So, am I the astronaut? Let's go back to the question here. The question was, am I the astronaut for telling my friend she smells terrible and embarrassing her? I feel like these are two separate questions. For both, it's NTA. You didn't intentionally embarrass her. If anything, you were trying to save her from embarrassing herself. What I don't understand about this is that You were driving her to therapy consistently. While you were driving her, she was going consistently, but nothing ever changed. It's like she was just putting on the act since you were her chauffeur, which means, and her behavior at the end of this story means that she never valued what you were doing for her in a way that she should value what you're doing for her. She saw what you were doing for her as trying to control her. She saw you showing up and cleaning her house, taking care of her rent, and then driving her to her sessions as you stepping in and trying to be a mom, because she was incapable. And that probably created more resentment than anything, which is tough. And I'd like to say that, when she gets through this, she'll understand the value of all the work and the effort that you put into caring for her. And she'll have this big clarifying moment, and she'll come with this big apology. But I don't know that that's the case, because she has to actually want things to change for therapy to work. She has to actually want to get better. She has to want these things herself more than you do. You can't want it more than her. You know what I mean? It's not going to stick. At this point, you've helped all the way until it's done you harm. So I think there's a big step back that happens now. And you're like, okay, clearly she doesn't value my help at all. I value her as a friend, even when I can see that she can't see the state that she's in. You value her enough to be the friend that speaks up, which is huge. Like, you were the only person in her world who was willing to speak up and be a true friend to her. A true friend tells you when you got a boogie hanging out of your nose, right? This is the equivalent. You were the true friend. No one else was. Everybody else just wanted to talk shit. And the people who swung back her way after the polling of the audience to see if everybody stunk, they just didn't want to be dragged into something, so they're taking her side because it probably caused them personal pain because she was like, you bitches. No, you didn't do anything wrong here. You're the only one who actually cared. She has to care, though. This is the whole, you can lead a horse to water, you've got to teach her to fish. The whole parable, this is it. This is it. She has to want it herself. You can't want it for her. It was never your responsibility, but you felt beholden to her because she was such a good friend and you cared about her so much, right? At some point, enough pain happens for that to change, for her to get bumped out of that classification and for you to be like, okay, look, it's her problem. I'm not dealing with it now. So I think that's where you're at. It's not your responsibility. But she's going to find herself completely alienated now. But OP, you have to understand that this is her choice. You can try to be the guiding light as much as possible. At this point, feeling like she's probably feeling controlled and she doesn't value all the effort that you actually put into things, just being a lighthouse right now and saying, look, I love you and I'm here for you. When you're ready to talk or you're ready to put in the work to actually turn things around, let me know. I'll be here to help in any way that I can, but not until then. That's probably the play. To protect yourself, but also not drive her further into whatever this is that she is dealing with, because right now it seems like it's doing more harm than good. It is just a matter of space and time at this point. You care enough that it hurts you right now, so create a little bit of distance and protect yourself right now, because she's just lashing out and the help, the time, and the effort that you're putting in aren't doing any good. So protect yourself and give her time to just think about things. Maybe this encounter is enough pain to create some change on her end, but it's going to take some time to let her actually think about it and let it sink in.